Time feels compressed, as if the hourglass of history has been turned for the final time, and the sands are rushing to the bottom with a silent insistence that cannot be ignored. In this tightening moment comes a call for clarity and courage, a reminder that every decision carries weight and that delay allows doubt and fear to take root. So we begin by recognizing the urgency that surrounds us and the need to act with intention before the hidden forces of deception fully emerge. Standing at the center of this narrative is the powerful archetype of Archangel Michael, a timeless emblem of protection and steadfast truth, whose sword represents the unwavering commitment to justice and whose presence symbolizes the human capacity to defend what is right. When we invoke the name of Michael, we are not summoning a distant supernatural warrior but awakening the strength already present in our own spirits, the ability to confront falsehoods and corruption with clarity and resolve. Yet as we accept that inner power, we must also face the stark reality that there are threats to our future, forces of manipulation, greed, and clandestine plotting that aim to destabilize our peace, undermine our prosperity, and cloud our sense of purpose. These are not merely external conspiracies but also the internal habits of fear and resignation that creep in when we stop believing that change is possible. A moment of exposure always follows such hidden activity, and history teaches that what is concealed eventually steps into the light. A reckoning is inevitable, and those who thrive on darkness will find their schemes dismantled as truth surfaces, for no secret can withstand the patient pressure of honesty and no manipulation can last when confronted by a collective will to see clearly. In the midst of this turmoil, protection does not come from passive hope but from a conscious choice to trust in something larger than ourselves. The enduring principles of justice, compassion, and love that have guided humanity through countless storms. Faith, in this sense, is not blind belief but an active openness to possibility and an inner alignment with values that uplift and safeguard life. And when we commit to these principles, we create the conditions for remarkable transformation. Still, the call demands immediate action because every heartbeat counts. Hesitation invites the decay of opportunity, and waiting for a perfect moment only strengthens the very forces we seek to overcome. So each of us is asked to move now, whether that means speaking truth in a difficult conversation, standing up for someone marginalized, or simply refusing to participate in corruption. As truth pushes forward, hidden lies and entrenched corruption will be judged in the court of collective conscience, and justice, though sometimes delayed, will balance the scales. Our task is to remain vigilant, to support transparency, and to resist the temptation to look away when revelations challenge our comfort. Divine protection, or if you prefer, the safeguarding influence of moral law, requires our cooperation. We must nurture awareness, practice trust, and embody hope, for these are the channels through which the best possibilities of human destiny can flow, and without our active participation the highest ideals remain unrealized. Even when the path feels lonely, we are never truly isolated. For the human story is one of shared struggle and mutual encouragement, and every person who dares to live with integrity adds strength to the whole. Fear and doubt are shadows that fade when illuminated by solidarity and faith in one another. To ignore this call is to grant power to deception and despair, for indifference allows harm to multiply unchecked, and postponing action only deepens the grip of darkness on our shared future. Conversely, courage opens doors to renewal, revealing blessings we could scarcely imagine and opportunities for growth and healing that exceed our limited plans. This message is not generic but uniquely personal, for each life holds a distinct place in the broader design of justice and compassion, and no one else can contribute the exact combination of insight, creativity, and resolve that you can offer. Therefore, this invitation speaks directly to the core of who you are. The journey ahead will not be free of conflict, yet victory is assured whenever we stand aligned with truth, because the forces of fear and exploitation cannot ultimately withstand the enduring strength of love and fairness. History bends toward justice when enough hearts choose to act. So let the voice of courageous resolve ring louder than the whispers of doubt, and let this moment be the beginning of deliberate action, for your destiny, shaped not by chance but by the steady work of conscience, depends on the choices you make today. The call has been sounded, and once it is heard, it cannot be ignored without consequence, for the weight of silence and hesitation becomes heavier than the burden of action itself, and every passing moment without response feeds the momentum of the very forces that conspire against your peace, your prosperity, and your future stability. So now is the time to rise with a heart fully awakened to what is at stake. In this rising, Archangel Michael once more stands as a timeless figure whose presence reminds us that protection is not passive but active, that courage is not a gift granted to the few but a discipline cultivated by anyone who chooses to confront lies with truth and darkness with light. And in his shield and sword we see not merely weapons of battle but symbols of discernment and resilience, teaching us that every falsehood can be dismantled by persistence and every assault on integrity can be repelled by unwavering adherence to justice. When you consider the hidden conspiracies that seek to rob you of stability, think of the countless ways that manipulation and secrecy have worked throughout history to subjugate humanity, through misinformation, exploitation, or fear, but also recognize that every cycle of deception eventually breaks when people refuse to live as passive observers, for exposure always arrives, and when it does, truth burns through the fog of illusion, and those who plotted in shadows are revealed for what they are. Such exposure is not meant to frighten you but to remind you that justice is inevitable, that every scheme rooted in selfishness is temporary, and that when you align yourself with principles of fairness and compassion, you position yourself on the side of what endures, divine protection, or the sheltering power of higher values, asks only that you keep faith with these principles, that you open yourself to trust, and that you believe intervention is possible not just from unseen realms but from the natural unfolding of cause and effect when honesty triumphs over deceit. Every second that ticks by underscores the importance of immediate action, and while hesitation may feel safer, it only strengthens the grip of fear, yet a single decisive choice, to speak truth, to step forward, to refuse complicity, weakens the chains that bind you and empowers the light of justice to break through. Justice itself will not remain hidden. The lies and corruption that seem immovable will be called to account, and the scales will balance, not always in the ways we expect but always in ways that restore integrity, and our task is to stay committed to truth even when the process is slow, even when the exposure unsettles us, because the cleansing of deception is never neat but always necessary. In this struggle, human cooperation is essential, for no higher power intervenes without willing hearts and open minds ready to act. Trust, awareness, and collective courage are the levers that open the door to transformation, and when individuals align their efforts with universal values of love and fairness, the combined strength becomes unstoppable. Do not believe the lie that you are alone, for you are chosen to stand in this battle, supported by unseen strength and by the solidarity of countless others who also refuse to bow to fear. And when doubt creeps in, remember that doubt is a shadow dispelled by light, and fear is a mirage that disappears when confronted by faith and action. Yet if you turn away, if you ignore the summons, the cost will be real. Protection weakens, doors close, and darkness gains the leverage it seeks, using hesitation as its greatest weapon. But if you respond, if you step into the call, the blessings that follow are beyond measure, for opportunity unfolds, peace is restored, and even setbacks are transformed into stepping stones for greater destiny. The promise of restoration is not empty. It is an invitation to witness your life elevated, your efforts magnified, and your spirit expanded beyond what you imagine possible. For in choosing courage you align yourself with the currents of justice that always lift, heal, and renew. Remember, this message is not general advice but a personal command tailored to your journey, for no one else receives the exact combination of challenges, strengths, and opportunities that you do, and therefore no one else can fulfill your role in this unfolding drama of truth and justice. Your response matters uniquely, and without it, something essential would be missing from the tapestry of transformation. The battle is real, yet so is the victory, for the forces of love and truth are stronger than the plots of fear, and history itself testifies that oppression, no matter how entrenched, eventually crumbles under the weight of righteousness, and even now God's power, or if you prefer, the moral force of truth, moves like an unstoppable tide, sweeping away falsehood and ensuring that justice, though sometimes delayed, ultimately prevails. Therefore, hear the call as Michael's voice echoing within your spirit, unyielding and urgent, urging you to act now, to trust now, to believe now, because your destiny does not wait. It bends according to the courage you display in this moment, and if you rise, the future itself will rise with you. Hope and resolve now weave together as the journey moves forward, for once the heart accepts the call, the true work begins, not a fleeting rush of emotion but a sustained commitment to live in harmony with justice, compassion, and unshakable truth, and this commitment becomes the forge where character is strengthened and destiny reshaped. Every act of courage, however small, sends ripples outward, undermining the structures of deception and inviting a wave of renewal that no darkness can withstand. Archangel Michael stands as a vivid emblem of this enduring strength, not merely as a distant guardian but as a mirror reflecting the latent power within each person who chooses integrity over fear. His legendary sword gleams in countless stories because it represents the sharp clarity of conscience, the precise discernment that cuts through confusion, while his shield signifies the steadfast protection that arises when we align with values that endure beyond fleeting circumstances. As the hidden conspiracies of manipulation falter under the weight of exposure, we begin to see how truth, once awakened, spreads with unstoppable momentum, uncovering secret plots and dismantling the machinery of exploitation, and though those invested in falsehood may resist, the tide of revelation is patient and sure, grinding away every pretense until only authenticity remains. In this unfolding drama, faith functions not as blind submission but as a dynamic force of openness, a willingness to believe that justice is not a distant ideal but a living reality we help to create. By placing trust in the principles of honesty, fairness, and love, we make room for the extraordinary, and in doing so, we welcome a protection that is both spiritual and practical, a resilience that sustains us through trials and enables us to stand firm when challenges arise. Time continues to press forward, and with each tick of the clock the importance of immediate action deepens, for delay allows complacency to harden into inaction, while decisive movement, whether in speaking a needed truth, lending aid to someone oppressed, or refusing to participate in corruption, becomes a spark that ignites broader transformation. Every second spent in hesitation is a second surrendered to forces that thrive on silence, but every moment claimed for justice strengthens the. As the layers of deception peel away, the revelations may unsettle us, but they are a necessary prelude to healing, for only when the hidden rot is exposed can authentic restoration begin. The scales of justice, though sometimes slow to balance, never fail to find their level, and the courage to endure that balancing is itself a testament to the human spirit's capacity for endurance and renewal. In this work, no one can stand apart, for divine protection and human effort intertwine, calling for cooperation, awareness, and trust among those who yearn for a better world. When individuals unite in shared purpose, their combined energy becomes a force that even entrenched corruption cannot withstand, and through collective action the highest possibilities of existence take shape. Remember, too, that this journey is not solitary, for every person who steps forward adds strength to the whole, and unseen currents of solidarity bind together those who choose truth over fear. Whenever doubt whispers its familiar refrain, it is met by the stronger voice of shared faith and the luminous presence of those who walk the same path, dispelling the shadows with mutual encouragement. The consequences of ignoring such a call remain stark. When the invitation to act is spurned, protection weakens and opportunities for renewal slip away, allowing the darkness of apathy and despair to tighten its grip. But when the summons is embraced, doors open, possibilities multiply, and even the most entrenched obstacles give way before the steady force of persistent courage. Restoration and blessing are not mere metaphors but lived realities for those who commit to this path. As old wounds heal, new opportunities arise, and a sense of purpose blossoms beyond what once seemed imaginable. The universe, or the divine order if you prefer, responds to faith-filled action with openings for growth and renewal, lifting each willing heart toward a horizon of expanded potential. This message remains profoundly personal, tailored to the unique contours of your life, for no one else carries the precise combination of gifts, challenges, and insights that you embody, and therefore no one else can fulfill the role that awaits you in this great unfolding. Your response is irreplaceable, your courage indispensable, and your journey an essential thread in the vast tapestry of justice and hope. Though the battle between truth and falsehood may appear daunting, victory is already seated in the very fabric of reality, for love and justice possess a resilience that cannot be extinguished. History teaches that oppression, no matter how forceful, eventually crumbles before the patient might of righteousness, and each act of integrity hastens that inevitable triumph. So listen to the unyielding voice that calls from within and beyond, the voice that countless traditions have named Michael, yet which ultimately is the voice of your own highest self urging you onward. Act now. Trust now. Believe now, for the shape of tomorrow depends on the bravery you summon today, and the destiny awaiting you will rise to meet the measure of your faith and the steadfastness of your action. And so the path narrows toward its radiant conclusion, a place where the urgency of the first call merges with the steady courage that has carried you through each revelation, each challenge, and each victory along the way. Now the truth stands unveiled, the shadows dispersed, and the quiet strength you have cultivated shines as proof that transformation is not an abstract dream but a living reality. The journey began with a warning of limited time, but as you acted, choosing faith, practicing discernment, speaking truth, time itself became an ally, stretching and expanding to accommodate your growth and the unfolding of justice. Archangel Michael remains a luminous emblem of steadfastness, his sword of clarity still gleaming as a reminder that you, too, wield the power to cut through illusion, and his shield of protection echoing the resilience that surrounds every heart aligned with integrity. The conspiracies that once threatened your peace have been exposed and dismantled, not merely because of outside intervention but because you refuse to yield to fear, because you recognize that hidden darkness cannot survive the light of persistent courage. With every decisive action you proved that divine protection, whether understood as spiritual guidance or the natural result of living by higher principles, requires human cooperation. You stood firm, trusted deeply, and acted boldly, and in doing so you invited the full measure of restoration and blessing promised from the beginning. The blessings arrive not as sudden miracles detached from effort but as the flowering of seeds long planted, relationships strengthened by honesty, opportunities born from integrity, inner calm that no turbulence can shake, and a renewed sense of purpose that infuses each day with quiet joy. This renewal is the victory foretold, the assurance that love and justice always outlast fear and deceit, and it is sealed not by distant forces but by the deliberate choices you have made to align with what is good, true, and enduring. The spiritual battle that once seemed fierce now reveals itself as the training ground of the soul, a crucible in which your character has been refined and your destiny clarified. You have not only faced external challenges but also conquered the inner enemies of doubt and despair, discovering that the greatest triumph lies in mastering the self. Justice, once hidden, now stands visible in your life and in the world you help to shape. Balance has been restored, truth has prevailed, and the conspiracies of fear have dissolved into lessons learned and wisdom gained. Yet this conclusion is also a beginning, for the call to live with courage and compassion does not end here. It continues in every choice you make, in every person you encourage, and in every act of integrity you offer to a world still hungry for light. The unique nature of your journey remains vital, because your voice, your gifts, and your perspective cannot be replaced or replicated. The world needs precisely what you bring, and your ongoing commitment to truth ensures that the ripples of this transformation will reach far beyond what you can currently see. Let the closing moments of this message resonate as both celebration and commissioning, celebration of the victory already won, and commissioning for the work still ahead. Stand tall in the knowledge that you are not alone, that the same unyielding strength symbolized by Michael flows through you, and that each new day is another opportunity to embody the justice, love, and wisdom that have guided you thus far. Carry this awareness into every conversation, every project, every quiet encounter with yourself and others, and you will continue to transform not only your destiny but the destiny of those whose lives you touch. Remember always that immediate response to truth is the heartbeat of ongoing transformation. Let no moment slip into complacency, for the world changes when ordinary people, awake and courageous, act without delay. As this narrative reaches its close, pause to honor the path you have walked, the urgency answered, the fears faced, the revelations embraced, and the blessings received. The story of your destiny is far from over, and its next chapters await the same resolve and faith that brought you here. If this journey has inspired you and you'd like to keep nurturing the courage and clarity symbolized by Archangel Michael, I invite you to continue exploring ideas of strength, integrity, and transformation with me. For thoughtful reflections, uplifting discussions, and fresh insights that help you stay aligned with truth and purpose, visit and subscribe to Archangel Inspire on YouTube. It's a space created to keep this conversation alive, where stories of resilience meet practical guidance, so you can carry today's momentum into every tomorrow.